Introducing Feverfew: benefits, uses, and how to grow it. Feverfew is one of those herbs that looks gentle and unassuming, yet carries a long and serious reputation in the world of traditional medicine. It is a small, daisy-like plant with bright white petals and a yellow center, and for centuries people have turned to it for relief from fever, headaches, inflammation, and other common complaints. Today, Feverfew is still one of the most recognized herbs in natural health conversations, especially when it comes to migraine support. What makes Feverfew especially interesting is that it bridges old herbal tradition and modern research. It has been used for generations in folk medicine, but it is also studied today for its possible effects on migraine frequency, pain, nausea, and inflammatory processes. That gives it a special place among medicinal herbs because it is both historically important and still relevant in current wellness discussions. Where it comes from. Feverfew, scientifically called Tanacetum parthenium, is native to parts of Western Asia, the Balkans, and the Eastern Mediterranean. From there, it spread into Europe and eventually into other temperate regions around the world. Because people cultivated it for both medicine and ornament, it became familiar in gardens, monastery plots, and home herb beds across many countries. The plant belongs to the daisy family, which gives it that familiar flower shape that many people recognize right away. Its common name comes from its traditional association with fevers, and in some historical descriptions the name reflects its long-standing role as a fever herb. Even the name itself tells us that this plant was trusted for something practical and healing. The history of use. Feverfew has an unusually deep history of medicinal use. References point to use as far back as ancient Greece and Rome, where it was valued for reducing fever and inflammation. Later, it became established in European folk medicine and monastery gardens, where it was used for headaches, swelling, fever, toothaches, menstrual problems, asthma, and digestive complaints. In the Middle Ages, Feverfew became especially known for fever-reducing and headache-relieving effects. Some sources note that recorded use as a fever herb dates back to the reign of Charlemagne in 812 AD, which shows just how long this herb has been part of the herbal record. It was also used for ailments like indigestion, arthritis, skin problems, and even as an insect repellent or air purifying plant in some traditions. That broad history matters because it shows Feverfew was never seen as a one-note herb. It was considered a flexible household remedy, useful in both internal and external applications. People used it because it seemed to fit many situations, and that is one reason it survived in herbal practice for so long. Health benefits and traditional uses. The most famous modern use of Feverfew is for migraine support. Some research suggests that it may reduce the frequency of migraine attacks. It may also help ease symptoms such as pain, nausea, vomiting, and sensitivity to light and sound. That is one reason it remains such a popular herb in natural headache formulas. Traditional herbal medicine gives Feverfew an even wider list of uses. It has been used for respiratory disorders, gastrointestinal disorders, menstrual disorders, kidney and liver issues, tinnitus, earache, anemia, infertility, fever, and general inflammation. Some herbal references also mention its use for arthritis, psoriasis, allergies, asthma, dizziness, indigestion, flatulence, and intestinal parasites. One of the reasons Feverfew is so interesting is that modern science has started to confirm at least part of the old traditional picture. Research and monographs describe anti-inflammatory activity, inhibition of platelet aggregation, and effects on allergic mediators such as histamine and serotonin. In simple language, that means Feverfew may help calm some of the body's inflammatory and irritation pathways. The strongest evidence is still tied to migraine prevention, while many of the other traditional uses remain supported mostly by historical and herbal tradition.
Parts of the plant used.
The main medicinal part of feverfew is the leaf. This is the part most often used in supplements and herbal preparations, and it is usually the primary focus when people talk about medicinal feverfew. Some herbal traditions also use the flowering aerial parts, that can include the leaves, stems, and flowers together. In practical herbal use, the leaf remains the most important part, but the whole flowering top is often harvested when making herbal material. The reason the leaf is emphasized so often is because it contains the plant compounds that make feverfew so valued, including parthenolide. This compound is often mentioned in herbal discussions because of its role in the plant's anti-inflammatory reputation. Different ways to use it. Feverfew can be used in several forms, depending on the purpose and the preference of the person using it. One of the simplest methods is tea, made by steeping the leaves in hot water. I put a link to feverfew tea in description. Another common form is tincture, which is a liquid herbal extract. Feverfew is also sold in capsules and tablets, especially for people who want a convenient and measured daily dose. Some people use feverfew externally as well. It can be applied to the skin in topical products for itching or irritation, and traditional herbal practice has also included use on the gums for toothaches or on the skin for certain minor discomforts. In older herbal traditions, it was sometimes used as a wash, compress, or part of a medicinal preparation for skin and scalp care. One important detail is that feverfew is often used consistently over time rather than as a one-time rescue remedy. That is especially true for migraine support. It is usually thought of as a daily wellness herb, not something you only reach for once a headache becomes severe. How to grow it? Feverfew is one of the easier medicinal herbs to grow, which makes it a good choice for gardeners who want both beauty and usefulness. It grows best in full sun but can also tolerate partial shade. It prefers well-drained soil and does not like to sit in heavy wet ground for long periods. If you are growing it from seed, one of the most important things to remember is that feverfew seeds need light to germinate. That means they should not be buried deeply. Instead, they should be pressed lightly into the surface of the growing medium and kept moist until sprouting begins. Germination usually takes about 10 to 15 days. When the seedlings are ready, transplant them into the garden with enough space for airflow and growth. Many growing guides recommend spacing plants about 9 to 12 inches apart. Feverfew can be grown in garden beds, borders, and containers, and it can also be started indoors several weeks before transplanting. It does best in moderately fertile, well-drained soil with a slightly acidic to neutral pH. Some guides suggest adding compost before planting so the soil has enough structure and nutrients. In garden settings, feverfew can become a charming border plant because of its light, daisy-like flowers, and soft herbal appearance. Harvesting and handling. For medicinal use, feverfew is usually harvested when the flower clusters are partly open or fully blooming, depending on the goal and the growing guide. The flowering tops can be cut and dried in a cool, airy place away from direct sunlight. This preserves the plant for later use in tea blends, tinctures, and dried herbal preparations. If you want to encourage ongoing leaf growth, some growers pinch off spent flowers. That can help the plant stay more focused on producing foliage rather than putting all its energy into seed formation. This is especially useful if you are harvesting the leaves for herbal use rather than growing feverfew just for ornamental bloom. I put a link to feverfew seeds in description. Safety and caution. Feverfew is widely used, but it should still be treated with respect. As with many herbs, it may not be suitable for everyone. Topical use may help with itching and skin irritation, but internal use should be approached thoughtfully, especially if someone is pregnant, nursing, taking medication, or has a health condition. Thank you for joining us for practical herbal education, plant growing tips, and natural remedy ideas. Please hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and share with someone who enjoys herbs and gardening as much as we do. And if you enjoyed this video and want more like it, please comment below. I would love to hear from you. Share your tips on how you use herbs in your everyday life.